Hey everyone, Larry Snow here with another podcast episode. So I got an email this morning from a client of mine, and they wanted to know what they could do to help their website rank higher in Google search results. The question is, how do I become number one on Google? How does my website become number one in Google? And the first answer is, it's not easy. And sometimes you'll never make it, depending on how competitive your market is. So in this podcast, I wanted to dedicate some time to help you, for those of you who have websites, and if you don't, you should, look at ways in which you can improve your website to get a better rank. I can't promise you'll be number one, but I can almost promise that your rank will go up if you do these recommendations that I'll be sharing. So the big question here is, why do I want to be number one? Well, for the obvious reason that everyone who wants to find out information about a particular person or business or service or product goes to Google. They want to have a problem solved, they go to Google. And usually, people will only look at the first page of results, which is the top 10, not including the ads. So the first thing I want to talk about is looking at the data constantly. And what data is that? That is the data that your website collects, and it collects a lot. I highly recommend you use Google Analytics. Google Analytics is free. There are a couple other ones out there. There's Woopra, which I've used, and Clicky. And I've done a review on Clicky, and if you want to check that out, I'll post that in the show notes. So what you need to get Google Analytics is a Google account. If you don't have one, you need to create one. It's very simple to do. It's a 3-step process. The last time I did it, you enter in name, rank, serial number, and enter in a email that you want to create. And once you create that email, you're on the Google system. So you're connected to Google+, and you get access to a host of services that Google provides for free. Google Analytics offers, like I said, a ton of information on your website. It shows you visitors, unique visitors, which is more important than visitors. And don't get caught up on views. If you have a WordPress website, and I've mentioned this before, don't get caught up on the views, because the views could be one person going 60 times. So in other words, you only had one visitor who looked at things 60 times, which is still not bad, but you only had one visitor. So look at visitors. It tells you what country they're from, what hosting provider they have, and if they are coming from an intranet, such as if they were coming from ExxonMobil, usually they have their own intranet, which is an internal internet. It will show in the data that you've had 2 visitors from ExxonMobil, which is very, very good information for you to have and understand. I could go on and on about Google Analytics, but I'm going to cut this kind of short. But get Google Analytics. In addition to Google Analytics, I highly recommend you get Google Webmaster Tools. It doesn't carry a lot of the data that Google Analytics does, obviously, but it does give you opportunity to improve your website. And that's what we're going for here. Google Analytics will tell you what keywords are people using. Google Webmaster Tools will show you what keywords your website's ranking pretty high with. So they're 2 different things, but both work congruently and work wonderful. So get those 2 things. That's one. And you have to consistently look at this data, because one week they might be searching for the best EP services, and next they'll be looking for canine handlers. So pay attention to what people are searching for and how they're getting to your website. If it's a referral, if it's from another website, which is always good, or if it's just a search term. Speaking of search terms, I highly recommend you also use the keyword AdWords tool, also provided by Google, Also, you have to sign in with that one, unless you want to type in a captcha every single time you use it. But type in your website and see what Google AdWords tool spits out. What it does is it'll give you keywords that are either highly competitive or low competitive, local, which means United States, or global. And take a look at that, and Google will give you an idea of what you might want to rank your website on. So in other words, if people type in a highly competitive keyword into Google search, and you have that keyword somewhere on your website or on a few pages on your website, then those pages have a better chance of coming up during that search. Take a look at your competitor's website. Put that into Google AdWords keyword tool and see what comes out. Maybe you'll get some keywords that you can leverage. There's this big business out there right now called search engine optimization. It's been out there for probably at least 10 years, maybe more. And it's all about optimizing your pages for the search engines. Huge, huge business. I'm going to keep it kind of simple. I don't pretend to know all the answers here, but what has worked for me is pay attention to the title of your page or post if you're using a blog. Have a keyword in your title. Have a keyword in your meta description or the short excerpt. Sometimes it's called an excerpt. It's the piece of information that will show up underneath your title in Google search. So it'll show up under the link on Google search. That needs to have the keyword. You need to have the keyword in the page itself. And sometimes you can have an anchor text, which is a hyperlink with the keyword. Sometimes bold works. I mean, Google's changing the algorithm so many times. But if you have a few of these pieces on there and you're consistent with that keyword, when a person types that into Google, that page might show up higher in the rank. I also recommend that you actually create content consistently. Doesn't have to be every day, doesn't have to be every week, maybe once a month. Something related to your brand, related to your business, your services, your products. Create content around that. The more content you create, the more keyword opportunity you have, the more opportunity you have to rank on different keywords or the same keyword. The more content that you have on your website, and it changes consistently, the more opportunity for those Google bots to come out and check to see what's going on, what's new. So always be thinking about creating content. And once you've created this content, or at least have enough, you got to start sharing that. Share that on social media networks. Share it to your friends and family. Share it to your colleagues. Share it everywhere that people want to hear about what you're writing about, or what you're talking about, if it's a podcast, or what you're creating through video. Whatever your content is, you have to share it. And when you share it, you add in a website link so people can come to your website and check out more information about you, what you do, who you do it for, and what qualifies you to do it. All that great stuff comes from this content that you're creating and having a link back to your website. Next, I want to talk about Google authorship. And Google came out with this last year, and it's basically linking your website with a Google Plus account, whereby it says, okay, this website is connected to this account, therefore that person is the author of that website. We've verified that. By doing that, it's called an authorship. Now, there is some debate whether or not this is actually going to help your search engine rank or not. Most people say yes. They're starting to call it author rank. And when you make that connection, a little picture of you from your Google account will appear next to URLs of your website, giving you more authority in the search results. Also makes you stand out a little bit more than the plain text. There's a little picture of you, or whatever your Google profile account has for its thumbnail. So that's another way in which you can potentially get some more higher rank for your website. All right, next there is linking to authoritative websites. It sounds very official, but basically what that means is defining who has the authority in your market, in your niche, however you want to say it. Who in your market has the authority? So if it's executive protection, it might be EPI, it might be Oatman, it might be somebody's website out there that has the authority in that market, right? You should connect to that link, and that would be an outbound link, but it would be great if you could put your link on their website. And when you do that, whoever comes to that website potentially could click on it and have a link back to your website, right? And it will show up to you as a referral. Now, there are a few ways to do this. The easiest way is to put a list together of the top 20 EP websites. I'm just throwing that out there. Put that out there, and what will usually happen is those people that own those websites will come and comment on it and saying, hey, thanks, or they will share that page or post that you've created those links on with their communities. That's an easy way to get some link juice, as they call it. Another way is to do an interview. Interview Oatman or Scotty or Jerry Hang or Dave Johnson. Any of those guys that probably be easily accessible for an interview. Could be written, could be over the phone, could be whatever. Interview them. And again, what will usually happen is that the people that were interviewed will share their interview. They'll share who interviewed them. They'll share the website that the interview is on. So that's another way to get some link juice and get your link on an authority's website. That's our whole goal with the link to authoritative website, right? Another way is just to, again, share your website with people that you connect on social media. As I've discussed in numerous podcasts and blog posts, you should be connecting with like-minded individuals. So people who are in your niche, people who are in your market, people who are in the same business as you, and people who are more authoritative in the business than you. Share your information with them. Share share the content that's on your website, and hopefully what will happen is that they'll share that information again with their communities, but on social media. And lastly, one other thing that you can do that's quite easy is comment on these authoritative websites. So if they have a blog, it's the most easiest way. If they have a blog, they usually have a commenting system. You get on their website, you make a reasonable comment, not just, hey, great site. Maybe something related to that you have a lot of passion on, or something about driving, or something about EP services or product or something. And you make a comment on that. Usually there's an opportunity to put your email, your name, and your website along with your comment. And that is a backlink to your website. All right, moving on to a little techie side here, and that is with the XML map. XML is a extensible markup language. You really don't have to know about that. I'll put a link in the show notes to where you can create an XML map. And basically what that is it makes it easier for the Google bots to come out and find this link, this XML structure that says, oh, okay, everything's laid out nicey nice for me to read it all, rather than trying to find out where all this information is. So that's basically what it does. It just makes it easier for the Google bots to do their work and get your content out there. And how it works is you get the file and usually upload it to your root of your website. So you'll need to have file transfer protocol, FTP access, or maybe a file management service through what is commonly used. This is the cPanel. Either one of those ways, you'll have to upload or contact your web designer, your web manager, and have them do it. Upload this file, and it will help the Google bots do their work. And basically, it is just a list of all the pages on your website. All right, now we're going to talk about things that are more focused on the mobile end, and that is Google Local, which used to be called Google Places. I think there still is Google Places, and there's Google Local, but Google Local is the more dominant one now. And basically, if you've done a search, and let's say you search for Joe's Pizza in your neighborhood, and when you do the search, over on the right-hand side, it has a nice big map. It tells you the name of the place. It tells you the directions. It'll tell you the hours. It'll tell you reviews and all that type of stuff. That's Google Local. And it's relatively easy to do. You'll have to have a Google account. And what Google says is basically we need to verify that you actually are the owner of this place. So they'll usually send you a PIN to an address or the actual phone number of the business. So either way, you'll get a postcard or you'll get a notification through telephone, and you have to, through the process, enter in this PIN, and it will accept that you are the person who owns this business. And that is a great way, if you actually own a business and a brick and mortar, let's say a brick and mortar place, not a post office box for example, but an actual office for people to find you when they type in your name or they type in the business. It comes up nicey nice right on the right hand side of the search engine page. So that's a great way to get noticed. A lot of people are ignoring mobile. Tablets and smartphones are very dominant, going to be very dominant in the next couple of years. They're just going leaps and bounds above PCs and laptops. So concentrate some effort on your mobile platform. So your website has to be mobile friendly. There are, if you're using WordPress, there are plenty of plugins that will convert your website into a mobile friendly platform. Talk with your web designer, talk with your web manager if you have some folks that are handling that for you, to convert your website into a mobile-friendly website. I'm not going to talk about that right here, but mobile-friendly is the way to go. The other thing you need to do is get your website out there in mobile applications like Yelp. Yelp is very big now. Yelp, if you don't know what it does, is basically it is a listing of everything in your neighborhood, whether it's food, dry cleaner, or what have you. And there are opportunities for people to put in reviews on the star system, 1 through 5. 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. So there is also the opportunity to add your business to Yelp. Yes, it is a risk. If people don't like what you're selling, people don't like your products or services, they're going to put in a nasty little note there. But if they love it, that's going to go in there too. Yelp has a nice little business section. I've done it myself. It takes maybe 5 minutes if you have all your information ready. Who, what, when, where, why, and a little bit of bio about what your business is. A link to your website, most important, right? Because we're talking about how do you want to be number 1 on Google. Another website you should look at is patch.com. Patch has multiple communities, sub-communities on their system. It's owned by Huffington Post. Again, you can add yourself as the directory. And on that same note, I would also look at your local newspaper online. They usually have free business directories. Add your stuff, add your information in there. Same thing about your business, and a link back to your website. And also, don't forget about Foursquare. Foursquare is another check-in type of place, and they have an opportunity for you to enter in your business. If it's a brick and mortar, you can put in the address and everything, so people can actually check in as well and do recommendations and that type of thing. Now, all of this, I'm sharing this with you, obviously for the mobile domination. Everyone's having a smartphone and a tablet in their hands. But the other piece of that is that it's easier for people to find you in search. So if there are more opportunities for you to share your website in these other places, when a person does a search, they might not find your website, but they might find you on Yelp, which has your website. They might find you on Patch.com or Foursquare or Google Local, or on your social media accounts, which I didn't really talk about. They might find you on LinkedIn before they find your website. So the more ways in which you have your website linked to places, the more opportunity for people to come back to your website and hopefully get those connections going, get those authoritative website connections going, and hopefully get your page rank up, right? But your first step in all that is actually telling people you have a website, and that's what we're concentrating on here. So I want to keep this kind of short. There's a ton of things that go into all this, but I think these are the top, what do I have here? The top 10 things that I'm looking at here that I think will help your website get a higher rank. So my last tip is it takes time to establish your website in Google search, and it takes time to raise its rank, especially if you are in a competitive market as Executive Protection Services is. And some of you guys also do the law enforcement training. That's also very highly competitive. So think of it as a marathon, not a sprint. And I've used that phrase in social media as well, and growing your brand. There's no quick fix that I know of unless you're doing some black hat SEO, which Google will punish you for. And I didn't really want to get into that here, but there are ways in which you can kind of cheat the system. But it's a quick hit, if you will. You'll get to the top very quickly, but just as quickly Google will find out what you're doing and shut you down, remove you from the Google search rank. Like your website won't even show up. I don't recommend the black hat SEO, and basically that is using tricks and wizardry to try to cheat the system. So I don't recommend that at all. So think of it as a marathon, not a sprint. So thanks for listening. I hope this is helpful to you guys out there that have a website and are looking at it like, oh my God, I am not found. I'm not even page 4. I'm not even on page 6. It will come. Just be consistent. Just be constant. Always create that content. Always share that content. Look for authoritative websites out there. And I think you'll be seeing an increase in your page rank. It might not be page 1, it might be page 2, but maybe on a couple of keywords you'll get a page 1 listing. But keep at it. If you have any questions, please contact me at lawrence.snow@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. If you're struggling with any of this stuff, I can help you as best as I can. If you're looking at your website saying, oh my gosh, I need to do something, I can help you out with that as well, even if it's just a short consultation, or you just want me to take a look at your website and see what I think. So lawrence.snow@gmail.com. You can actually give me a call at 781-369-5185. And you can visit my website, larrysnow.me, where I share more valuable information like this and other tips and advice on how to get you started on blogging, started on getting on social media. So thanks for listening, and I'll talk with you in the next episode.